Hey guys, it's John, and in this video I'm going to be walking you through a bunch of different bridge exercise progressions from beginner level up to the full bridge, which is also known as the wheel pose. You have to bear with me because I haven't warmed up, so it doesn't, probably not quite as high as I can get after I have, but that's where we're going. So I'm going to start at the very basic and move all the way up to the full bridge. Before you get into bridge training, you need to make sure that you've fully recovered the range of motion at your joints that is necessary to be able to train the bridge safely. And so there's a few different areas. Ideally you should be working on your mobility on a daily basis, trying to recover full range of motion at all of your joints. But if you're focusing on this exercise specifically, there's a few things that you want to really prioritize. First one would be this rear range of motion, because your arm is going to be extended behind your head, and so you want to be doing little circles with your elbow locked, shoulder packed down, pulled down into its socket, and trying to reach that upper arm behind your ear. You do that with both your arms in both directions. You also want to be able to get full extension of your thoracic spine. So you want to inhale up as if a cable is pulling your sternum away from you, and you want to recover that full range of motion too. Just really grease it up and lube it up. And before you do bridge training, you want to do some of these exercises anyways, just to warm yourself up, to lube up your joints and prepare them for the work. The next one is you're going to want to recover a full hip extension. So you don't want shortened hip flexors before you do a bridge, because it's going to prevent you from getting into a bridge. And so you want to get that full hip extension as well. You can just do this basic range hip extension exercise. You could do circles, which will get a little bit deeper. You can do figure eights. There's lots of tutorials online available for recovering your basic hip range of motion. Last one that I'm going to have you focus on is the spinal back bend. So this is what it looks like. There's different ways to do the exercise. You can either just lean back like this. You can do it with your arms overhead, which will put a little bit more strain on you. You can do circles. You can do shallow circles like this. Or go slow and move deep into it. You can have your arms overhead while you do it. But you want to recover that full back bend range of motion before you put that under additional load with gravity on the ground. And so those are the main things, the main mobility drills that you want to work on to recover the full natural range of motion of your spine. If you can't do that comfortably, and not just comfortably, but effortlessly standing up, you're probably not ready to start bridge training just yet. But when you are, the most basic exercises are done with an exercise ball. So if you don't have one, get one. You don't need one. The other exercises I'll be teaching you in a minute would be more than enough. It just might take a little longer. But you're going to use your exercise ball. You're going to roll it to your mid-back, kind of sit up against it in this reclining position. You're going to start really simply by just rolling over the ball with your back to whatever range of motion, whatever depth that you are comfortable. And you want to allow your neck and your entire spine to relax. This is not a crunch. You're not flexing here. You're literally rolling your spine around this ball like a string of pearls. And the further back that you go, the deeper into it that you get. And so eventually you can go back until you get full hip extension, your knees are straight. Then you just pull yourself forward. You don't want any strain on your neck. You don't want any pain in your back. So if you feel pain at any time, you got to stop, or you got to go shallower, or you got to keep working on that mobility stuff. Get yourself checked out by a doctor maybe. Eventually you can get to full hip extension and allow your arms to slide up overhead, which will put a little bit more of your weight. You'll be pulling your spine upwards along the ball. Get into that full hip extension. Just pull yourself back. So that would be the first exercise progression. You could spend some time on that. Depending on your level, you could spend a few weeks, maybe even a few months just working on that, especially if you're coming off of back trouble, back injuries. Just allowing the musculature to relax, to let you get into that bridge position on the ball while it's supporting some of your weight, that might be enough of a training stimulus for a while. But once you practice that for a while, you can combine it with a bridge. So you can use the ball for assistance. So you can actually roll back to about your mid-back level, plant your hands on the ground, and you can press off your hands and off your feet to take some of your weight off of the ball and lower yourself back down. You don't have to go into a full bridge, and at this stage I recommend against going into a full bridge. I think you should spend some more time on some of the rudimentary exercises, but while you're here you want to focus on pressing from your hands a mid-palm balance and a mid-foot balance, using both your arms and your feet equally. And you want to press yourself up as much of your weight as you can support easily without straining, and you can do that for as many reps as you can complete with good technique before you start getting really shaky or your alignment falls out of place. So those are the first couple of exercises that you do with the ball if you have the ball. If you don't have a ball, that's fine. You can just start on the floor, and I'm going to recommend that you start with a basic shoulder bridge exercise. So you're going to lay on your back with your feet flat on the ground, knees fully bent, and there's different ways to do this, and I think I've got another video on it, so you can refer to that if you want additional training. But what you're going to do is you're going to press your feet into the ground, which is lifting your hips off the ground, and you're going to reach your arms underneath you, pinching your shoulder blades together. That's really important to create the strong foundation. And then again, pressing with your feet, you're going to lift your hips higher, relax your head and your neck. And you're going to breathe into your belly, expanding your belly, letting it reach up towards your chest. And then you're going to exhale and press your feet, lifting your hips higher, pinching your shoulder blades together. You can have your hands either inside your ankles, pressed against your ankles, or you can grab your fingers, interlace your fingers. You can extend your pointer fingers if you want, doesn't really matter. But you can grab your hands and squeeze them together, and then lock your elbows, pinch your shoulder blades together. Exhale and press your hips higher. Inhale and let your belly expand. And you can practice that, a few times, up to a few times a day. It could be a couple times a week or a few times a day. The more you practice, the better you'll get. With all of this training, you don't want to strain, and you don't want to train to muscle failure. You don't want it to be high intensity. This is more of a practice, not training. And if you ease into these exercises and these positions, it will be easier for you. Not only will you be training properly and safely in a health-first manner for the long term, but you're actually going to achieve your goal of proper performance sooner in a situation like this. So the shoulder bridge is the first exercise. Next one I'll teach you is the table, which is similar. You're probably familiar with it. Same idea, except you start sitting on the floor. You're going to press your palms into the floor right by your sides, sides of your sit bones, and you're going to extend your hips up, and you're going to feel a stretch in your chest and your shoulders. And same as before, you're going to press through your feet, tuck your tailbone, lift your hips higher with an exhale. You're going to keep your shoulders packed down, you're going to relax your head and your neck, and you're just going to hold that position, try and get a little higher with each and every breath. So that would be the second exercise in the progression of the floor exercises. Third one is going to be an upside down plank. So your normal plank, like your top of push-up position plank, is like this. We're just going to take it and reverse it so that it's upside down. It's kind of like a combination of the table pose and the plank. And so what you're going to do here is press your palms into the ground, keep your body in a straight line so you're lengthening your spine in both directions. You're going to keep your shoulders packed down on your rib cage so they're not shrugged up. They're stabilized on your core. You're going to tuck your tailbone, squeeze your glutes, contract your core, draw your belly in, and you're going to point your toes. That's the last one. And you're just going to hold this for time. This is a strength exercise primarily, and so you hold it as long as you can comfortably with good technique and without pain. That's the third one. The fourth exercise is going to be different variations of the tripod movement. So there's different ways to get into it. I like to just from a squat reach around it. And you probably shouldn't be doing much bridge training if you haven't already recovered a full rock bottom squat, which is a much more important rudimentary movement pattern. And so if you haven't done that yet, I've got lots of resources for increasing your squat depth and performing a bodyweight squat with proper technique. You can check out my videos and my articles on that. But once you can do this, the next exercise for the bridge progression is going to be a tripod extension. So you're going to, from your squat, you're going to reach around to the outside and plant one hand down as close to your center line as you can without over rotating. You don't want any stress anywhere. You don't want to feel any pain. So it might be over here, and that's okay. If you can get a little bit further back, then great. And you want to go back kind of far. And what you're going to do, same as before, you're going to extend the hips up, press off of your feet, lift the hips higher, and you can either have your arm raised overhead, you can have it relaxed. The next step would actually be a tripod reach, I believe it's been called. Just a different variation of the movement, gets a little bit deeper. And same as before, you're going to press the hips up through your feet. And this time you've got a little bit of rotation going on at your spine with the planted arm and with the arm overhead. And again, it can be right here, which is not quite as deep. With this, you want to make sure that whichever arm you're planting with, so I'm planting with my left arm, you want to make sure that hip on that same side is pressing a little bit harder to try and bring your two hips into one line, because this one's going to have a tendency to want to be lower because you're rotated this way. And so you want to press extra hard off of that one. And this can be held for time, for strength, or you can swoop around, plant it on the other side, and you could do this for reps. You know, there's different ways to do it. The important thing is that you're strengthening the position and getting a little bit deeper into that back bridge position. And the tripod extension and the tripod reach are good exercises for transitioning into the wheel position, the bridge, the full bridge pose. And so I like to include those in the progression for that reason, because you can go from a tripod position into your bridge like so. You can get out of it the same way. So that's the fourth exercise family, the tripods. The last one would be just the bridge pose, and you can do an assisted bridge if necessary. They can be done on a wall, on a bench, so that you don't have to reach quite as high, so you can just get a feel for it on the wall if you want. Just walk yourself down as low as you can. If you want to keep practicing on the floor, which is how I probably coach most people unless they're having a lot of trouble, you can use your heads for support. If you do use your head for support, this is something you don't do if you've had former neck problems that have not been fully resolved. You don't do this if you don't have a healthy neck. And this is something that you should also progress up to gradually anyways. But assuming you've done all that, then you can do kind of a variation of different wrestlers' bridges. And you can just use your head for support, putting just a little bit of your weight on your head while you get into the bridge position. And so what you'll do to get into it is, get into that preparatory position just like you did with the shoulder bridge. You're going to reach your arms overhead, plant them as close to your shoulders as you can. Keep your elbows in towards your center line, not flared out, but in as much as you can. Just to keep them in tight with your core. You're going to be stronger, more stable, and more aligned that way. So you're going to do that. Then you're going to press with your palms and with your feet up until you get your head on the ground. And you're going to continue to press through your hands and feet, keeping your elbows in tight, keeping your knees together, glutes squeezed, core tight. And you're just going to hold that for time. And once that becomes really comfortable, you can move up to the full bridge, where you just press yourself higher into a full hip extension where your spine is arched backward as far as your range of motion allows. So same as before, get your feet in tight with your knees bent, feet flat. Going to reach your arms up overhead, plant the hands
flat next to your shoulders. Keep your elbows in tight, and you're going to press off into that full bridge pose or wheel position. You're going to relax your head, relax your spine, drive equally with your feet and your hands, and you hold it for time, or you can perform it for reps, transitioning from one into the next. Congratulations, you now have a new exercise tool in your toolbox. So I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions about the different variations, please let me know, and I'd be happy to help you out. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.